Here's our oxypropane,
Okay.
right?
Oxypropane.
So before you do anything, you have to make sure everything's off first. You go to the torches, off, off, off. All the knobs are righty-tighty, means off. The only knobs that are not are the regulators. It's the opposite. Alright? So I check that off. Check the regulators off. How do you know the regulator's off? It's when it free spins. There's no spring pressure or spring tension. Right? If I spin it in, now there's spring tension. It doesn't want to free spin. Right? But if I spin it out, I can feel it too. I can feel that no more tension. It free spins. Right? So off, off. That's all off. So now I can turn things on. Doesn't matter which side. Since I'm right here, I'm gonna turn this on first. Before you turn on the oxygen, remember, high pressure tank. Look down the regulator. Make sure no one is in the line of fire. Right? So no one's in the line of fire.
Don't do that.
Turn it on. Turn it. Ease it on. Right? There's two gauges. The gauge closest to the tank is the tank pressure. Right? So you look at that gauge. Up with the real light. Ease that needle on, and you see it. See that? It kind of went up a little bit. It didn't just whip up. If that needle whips up real fast, that means you open this up too fast. Right? Again, high pressure, you want everything to be easy. Right? Once that stabilizes, turn it on all the way. Oxygen side for this class in this shop, the most we cut is 1/2 inch. So our tip is meant for cutting 1/2 inch. Okay? So at 1/2 inch, you don't need that much pressure. So it's only about 25. You probably get away with maybe about 20. So I'm gonna turn this up to 25. So that tells me, again, this is a tank pressure and this is a line pressure. So I'm looking at the line pressure side now. I'm looking right here, and there's two numbers. There's numbers on the inside of the gauge and on the outside of the gauge. You want PSI. You know, we're in the US, so we use PSI. So in this case, it's the inside, it's PSI. Right? So turn it until it goes to 25. And it goes right about there. Alright, that's good. Fuel side, low pressure, propane. The most it gets up to is about 130 or something like that. So not so much to worry about. So you can turn it, you can turn it on faster. But when you turn it, just one twist of the wrist, and that's it. Alright? One twist of the wrist. Now the pressure wise, for propane, we use above 5, so somewhere between 6 to 9, 10 in that range. So I just go above 5 and I'm good. So right there is above 5, so it's good. Get my striker over here. Striker, chipping hammer, and some pliers. I always get that out. Alright, so now your torch, because this is a regular standard torch with a cutting attachment, this attachment could disconnect and you put on a different attachment. Because of that reason, the torch itself has an oxygen and a fuel. If this was strictly a cutting torch only, it would be one solid piece. You can't disconnect it. And on those type of torches, you only have one oxygen and one fuel. So this one, because the cutting attachment has its own oxygen knob, that's why you have 2 oxygen knobs. Right? When you have 2 oxygen knobs, the first knob, you always open up all the way. Alright? Open it up all the way. The reason why you want that all the way is because when you hit the lever, the cutting lever, you want that full 25 psi coming out. If this one's only partially open, you won't get that full 25 and you won't be able to cut. Alright? So now I'm ready to line it up. So that's my fuel side down over here. Get my striker, make sure I have some flint. Yeah, I got flint in there. It's a little bit windy, so hopefully I'm enough of a windbreak. So this knob here, 1/8 to 1/4 turn. Alright? Strike it.
Oh.
It's too windy. And my frame might have been a little bit too strong, so I turned it down a little bit. Still kind of windy. Oh man, it's out again. Alright, so now that I'm able to, whoops. Again, it's the wind. That's the thing with propane, is that propane is very sensitive to wind. When it's just the propane by itself. Hang it. Let me get a windbreak. Grab one of these. go in here. See if I can use this as a windbreak. So I'm looking at my flame, my tip. I want the flame to just about touch the tip. If I turn the fuel on too high, there will be a little gap between the flame and the tip of the torch. So I'm gonna turn it up, and maybe you guys can see that, maybe not, I'm not sure. It's kind of bright out here, it's hard to tell. All right, so now there's, oh, not yet. Now there's a gap. I can actually see a gap between the flame and the tip. So that's too high. So I'm gonna turn it down, so that goes away. Okay, that's good right there. And from there, you can turn on the oxygen and do it real light, otherwise it'll blow out the flame. All right, so that's the oxygen. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna find my neutral flame. Right now I have a carburizing flame. So let's use my shirt or jacket here as a back so you guys can see a little better. All right, that's a carburizing flame, right? Meaning extra fuel. Turn it up more. Bring that inner feather or inner flame in. Look at these points. Make sure they get sharp. All right? So we're now still a little fuzzy. Oops, I went a little bit too far there. About right there, that's my neutral flame. If I'm looking at these points here, it's sharp, but it has a light blue color to it. If I turn on oxygen too much, there's a color change now. Now all of a sudden, it's like a darker blue. That means it's an oxidizing flame. Too much oxygen. All right? So I'm gonna go back to neutral. And to find neutral, just turn down the oxygen, bring it out, bring that feather back out, the inner flame back out, so that way it's fuzzy again. All right, so there's fuzzy. Okay, that's carburizing. So I'm gonna bring it back in until it's sharp, which is about right there. Yeah, right there. So now I'm gonna test for my flame, how strong it is. Two ways you can tell. One is just by hearing it. Right now I can barely hear it. So that tells me it's too weak. The other way of testing it is against a flat surface. Get the flame against a flat surface where it almost touches those points. You're looking at a starburst that's sharp and about 6 inches in diameter. So you go like this. It's kind of dark out there, so I'm gonna go down here so I can see a little better. I can look at my flame, and it's soft. It's not a sharp starburst. So that means it's weak, or it's a little wimpy of a flame. And I can also hear it as well. I can barely hear it. As far as sound, how much you want it to hear, how much sound do you want to hear? You want it to hear it roar. It should be roaring flame, but it shouldn't be screaming. If we're standing right next to each other, and I have to scream to talk to you, that means it's too much. Okay? So let's turn on more fuel. All right, it becomes carburizing again. More oxygen. You go back to neutral. Right there's oxidizing too much. Go back to fuzzy and bring it back in until it's sharp. So now I'm listening to it. I can hear it a little bit more. I still think it's a little bit quiet, so I'm gonna turn it up a little bit more. A little bit more fuel. A little bit more oxygen. Get back to neutral. Okay, now you hear it roaring, but it's not screaming. Right? If I check my starburst, see it's sharp?
Yeah.
It's sharp and it's about 6 inches diameter. Right? Let's turn this thing on too high and listen to it. All we have to do is just listen to it. More fuel. More oxygen. Fuel, oxygen, okay. So that's the neutral flame. But listen to how loud it is. Now I have to scream for you to hear me, right? That's too much. That doesn't do nothing but waste fuel, waste gas, right? So you should turn that down. And back to that roar. Right, so right now it's about, it sounds like it's roaring. It's about, okay. So now you still hear the roar, so we're good, okay? That's your neutral flame, okay? So that's your midterm right there. You get to that neutral flame, listen to it, and look for the starburst. All right, look for the starburst, right? That's your starburst, sharp, nice. 6 inches diameter. Now you shut it off. So shut it off. I'm an old school guy, so I do it the old school way. Go fuel first. Oops, fuel, oxygen. Right? You leave this on because I want to bleed everything out. I want to shut it down completely. So now I go back to my tanks, turn off my tanks. For the sake of speed, I do it all at the same time, both hands. Then now I can look at my gauges when I bleed this out. Right? So oxygen, just hit the lever because this right here is still open. Hit the lever, look at the gauges. They go down. Sometimes they stick. If they stick, just tap on it. Then they should go down. Right? So now that's bled. I make sure that the oxygen's closed. Close. Then the fuel. Open up the fuel. Look at my gauges. It goes down. Right? Again, if it's sticky, just tap your gauges. It should drop down. Now it's bled. So now the fuel side is closed. So close, close, close. All three is closed. Right? And the last thing you want to do is close the regulators. And the regulators is the only knobs that are the opposite of everything else. So the regulators, turn them off. You have to turn it outwards or lefty loosey. Right? And right there, it's off because it's free spinning. Right? This one's not free spinning, so that means it's still on. So I'm gonna turn it out. Right there, free spins. And that's it. That's your midterm. 5 minutes. When you practice this, it should take you about 2.5 minutes. You know, each time I say something, because that's a lot of steps. And for you to keep on going on, I might have to say something. So each time I say something, I take off a point. Right? If you go for each minute over the 5 minutes, I take off a point. Okay? Let's say you do everything right, but your neutral flame was off. I'll take off a point. So basically each mistake is a point. Alright? So that's your test. It should only take you about 2.5 minutes or so, maybe 3 minutes at the most, if you practice. If you don't, you're gonna be fumbling around, and I can tell people that practice it versus people that didn't. You know, they're fumbling around a lot. Alright? That's it. Any questions? Alright, it's all yours.